this game wasn't made for you. Like
How many times have you guys heard the line, this game wasn't made for you? How many times have you
constantly.
seen people running to the defense of a game and saying that, well, if you don't like it, stop talking about it? You know, they go and they start posting those memes where it's, stop having fun, but they're still sitting on the couch playing the game. This game is great as long as you don't have anybody screaming in your ear telling you that it's bad. Stop seeking out negative commentary and criticism on a game if you just want to have your viewpoint reinforced.
Yeah.
Stop hitting yourself. That's what you're doing at this point. I recently saw that somebody had posted an entire Reddit thread talking about me and my video on Avowed, saying that I am the one that's ruining commentary around games. I am destroying video
No.
games and the video game community. You guys are helping by watching my videos in the first place.
We just
Shame on
agree.
you. The
Majority
even-handed
of people
criticism
agree
that
to
I
his
had in
opinion.
my Avowed video, where I was relatively soft on them in comparison to just about any other game or any other studio, because there were parts of Avowed that I genuinely liked, and I like Obsidian as a studio. No. I'm the bad guy. Have you ever noticed a good game doesn't need anybody to run defense for it?
Yeah.
It just exists. It's just there. It just
It's just a
does
good
its
game.
thing. So it got me thinking, what are the chances that these communities are the
If your game needs defenders to fucking like constantly say it's good, it's a fucking good game. Because a game that is good doesn't need defending because people will play it no matter what.
ones that have been ruining games? We've seen so many games come out to seemingly no audience. The quest for the mythical modern audience, where they seem to exist in certain social circles and social media, but the minute that a game hits the market, they evaporate.
Yeah, because they don't play games. Like, the people you're fucking trying to make games for doesn't play games. And probably play games and doesn't want that type of game. Like, they might say, oh, it's so good, but they will not play it. They will probably not play it because they already find it boring. And just like, say it's good to like make a stance on their ideology.
Where did it go? So it got me thinking. Who are these games made for? Why are they making them for them? And why aren't they buying them? Maybe it's not me ruining gaming. Maybe it's you. You know how we can take back gaming? You can start making games yourself. And you guys can do that with today's sponsor, boot.dev. We oftentimes hear people say, if you don't like the games today, well, then go make them yourself. And here's your chance. I partnered with boot.dev, the smartest way to master back-end development to help you build your own digital empire. At boot.dev, you'll learn back-end web development from start to finish with Python and Go. And what's awesome is that boot.dev knows that not everybody can afford a full membership right away, so you can sign up for free and explore every course in read-only mode. You'll get all of the theory and content without any commitment. Then, when you're ready to truly level up, a membership unlocks interactive challenges, progress tracking, hints, and full solutions. Plus, as you build real projects, you'll earn XP, level up, compete on leaderboards, and rack up achievements, all while gearing up for a career where backend developers can earn a median salary of over $100,000 a year. Every project that you complete on boot.dev is a stepping stone to real-world success, turning your coding passion into a career that pays big. So head over to boot.dev and use my code LegendaryDrops to get 25% off your entire first year on the annual plan. Click the link in the description, join the community, and start coding your future today. I can't be the only one who thinks that it's weird that while, yes, in some circles, some of the avowed criticism can be classified as reaching, the vast majority of it is relatively fair and observable in-game. But there has been an unbelievable amount of white knighting and running defense in the face of criticism and poor sales on Steam. Avowed is incredible, especially when you don't have a YouTuber lying to you. If you hate Avowed, you probably didn't play it. Stop.
True, like I got like tricked that Avowed was good because I didn't play it, and like legitimately, like from the fucking poster alone, I thought, oh, this game is gonna fucking flop. And some people say, oh, it's decent, and then okay, maybe it's decent, and then I saw the fucking gameplay and said, okay, you cannot let game studios get away with this. Like, lots of bugs from release. There's no innovation at all.
comparing it to Skyrim. But if the game is so incredible,
Yeah.
then why does it need this much defense? The same trend then plays out in Avowed Steam reviews. Plenty of positive ratings, yet their words say they're underwhelmed.
Yeah. The rating says, oh, decent shit game, horrible mechanics, but okay, decent. Like, oh my god. Like, most of the fucking reviews were fucking like hating on the game, but the fucking actual review, like, 6 stars, decent game. Like, bitch, I don't understand.
Game is okay. It's objectively mid. Wish there was a way to rate games I don't recommend or condemn. Some even go out of their way to tell you not to compare it to other games. This isn't Skyrim. Don't compare it to Baldur's Gate 3 or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
But you can, because it's somewhat the same genre. And if you if you came from that game to look for new games to play similar, you will compare them, because like it's like somewhat similar genres. And if that, like, if you didn't want that, okay, understandable, but still, like, the consequences of making this type of games, you will always be compared to similar type of games if you make similar type of games, because like, oh, if it's worse than an older fucking game that is beloved and like works well, and your game is fucking like having a lot of bugs, and you is being compared to a fucking 10-year-old game, your game probably is not doing good.
It's this weird mix of gatekeeping and defensive posturing, as if people aren't allowed to be critical of something without being treated like enemies. Nobody is saying that you can't enjoy Avowed. If you do, that's great. But
Yeah,
if somebody points out that they didn't, that's not an attack.
don't
It's
fucking
called
attack
having an
them.
opinion. Suddenly, I start hearing that Avowed isn't made for me, that somehow I should have known not to buy it.
Oh
Like
my
there was some
God.
secret label that was warning me,
Oh
but I
my
had missed
God.
it. But last time I
The
checked,
fucking,
well, open world fantasy action
not gonna lie, like, red the red flags for the red flag for me was the cover, like the poster or something. Like, I said, like, okay, this got Conquer vibes. Like some dialogues, like, okay, like kind of like some of the dialogues that I like saw was not that bad, decent at most, but that's it. It's a decent game. It's not good, but just like, it's mid. Literally, it's a mid game.
RPGs are exactly what I play. That's my genre. That's what I love. But apparently, there was some secret subsection of that genre that I don't fit into. How does that make sense? Oblivion is one of my most favorite games of all time. I just finished Kingdom Come Deliverance, and now I'm playing the sequel. I have hundreds of hours in Skyrim and Fallout. I love The Witcher 3, so how am I not the target audience for this? Maybe the problem isn't that Avowed wasn't made for me. Maybe the problem is it was made for no one. Because I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of people arguing that games don't need interactivity, that realism isn't necessary, and that games like Avowed don't need to have those kind of features just for the sake of having them. All right, that's fine. Explain this. How does removing basic interactivity from a first-person RPG make it better? Please,
No,
take the
it
time
doesn't.
to explain that to me. How does it enhance the experience when you can't pick up objects, when you can't touch the world, when you can't interact with doors, when people don't move around towns? It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Oblivion and Skyrim are decade-old games within
Yeah.
the same genre, using
Yeah, and made it like it's better. Like, the interactivity is fucking far more better than a fucking 25 game. My god. When did you start developing this game? Fucking in the 90s? Because like, you didn't fucking like, this game has no interactivity at all.
many of the same systems, yet they feel light years ahead in interactivity.
Yeah.
And somehow we're not allowed to compare them. And why is that? Because it makes Avowed look bad? That's the entire
True.
point. If a
Yeah,
game that came out
that's why they don't want them to fucking compare it. Because Avowed will be in the short end of the sticks when comparison.
in 2025 is getting obliterated by a game made in 2006 and 2011, then maybe the problem isn't the comparison. Maybe the problem is the game itself.
Yeah.
Look at the lengths that they have to go to. Yesterday, I saw a Reddit thread pop up that was talking about me and my video on Avowed. and it was titled "The Hate for Avowed Has Made Me Realize Something." I just fucking hate gaming discourse right now. I just got done with a video reviewing the cope of a game and saying they should expect more from
Oh my
themselves.
god.
Honestly, why? Why does it have to be the best game ever? Why can't it be a good romp? People fucking suck, and I'm sad and I'm over it, man. The top comment read, "Honestly, I think it's helpful to remember that none of this is about gaming and it has nothing to do with the games in question. What we're seeing is a global level slide into extreme partisan rhetoric fueled by both organic and inorganic media algorithms, the same mechanisms accelerating divisive politics that are bleeding into every aspect of life. Watch for keywords, trending rhetoric, and viral talking points. You can find them or some variation thereof in every form of online discourse. I'm not arguing any vast conspiracies, only saying it's an evolving consequence of destabilizing global socioeconomics combined with new technology that has allowed propaganda and echo chambers to spread like wildfire. To clarify further, I'm not saying that all criticism of this game or others is invalid. Actual criticism has always existed and is absolutely legitimate. It's only the hyperbolic hatred using all the same keywords that is nothing but a byproduct of a larger dynamic. There are many vested interests in the world who trade on, monetize, and utilize humans' capacity for hatred and fear. They've always been commodities, and now they've become one of the most powerful products in the global market. I'm highlighting this because it needs to be called out. This is the exact kind of caustic, self-defeating discourse that is poisoning gaming culture and the industry. Someone reads a title, listens to 1 minute of a video, and goes crying into an echo chamber because they're afraid that they have the wrong opinion. Nothing in this entire thread disproves anything that I said. Not one point. Instead of actually addressing any of my arguments, they go straight to political straw men, painting me as a grifter, right-wing agitator, or anti-woke, just so they can comfortably dismiss my opinion without actually having to engage with it. Because if you don't slap a label on me first, then you might actually have to consider that I, like many others, just didn't enjoy the game. Here's the thing, I don't talk about...
Like, people can dislike a game because it's fucking bad. Like, you can love a game, and like, also I can dislike the game. You don't, like, why do you have to attack me for saying my opinion? Like, this woke culture is fucking insane. Like, if you disagree with my opinion, you're a bad person. If you disagree with the things I like and you don't like them, you're a bad person. It's political now. Like, it's just a bad game. I don't like the game. Like, am I a bad person for disliking a game that you like? Like, no. Like, it's like saying, oh, I like vanilla ice cream. You don't like chocolate ice cream. You're a fucking racist. Like, okay, like, bitch, like, I just like vanilla more than fucking chocolate. Like, I just don't like chocolate ice cream. Like, there's no fucking big deal of that. Like, it's legitimately like that. It's so fucking dumb. Like, we can criticize games and make them better. Legitimately, like, I don't like the visuals of like Avowed. Like, I I just don't like it. It doesn't feel fancy like.
Politics. I don't care about identity wars. I don't make videos talking about DEI, and that's one of the reasons why people like watching my videos in the first place. The only anti thing I am is anti bad games, and that video that I had made was about Avowed, a game that felt lifeless, that lacked interactivity, and it was a game that failed to meet my expectations as a fan of this genre. But these people can't process that. They can't seem to accept that somebody might just not like the game, so they have to invent some entirely different narrative, one where they are noble warriors defending against some political invasion, and they have to tell themselves that any criticism of a game is part of some orchestrated culture war, as if it couldn't possibly be that somebody just has independent thoughts about a game. This is the exact same kind of mindset that is hurting game development today. Instead of confronting valid criticism head-on, developers and their most vocal supporters are retreating into defensive narratives, dismissing critics as toxic, politically motivated, or somehow disingenuous. They are unwilling to listen to actual feedback that could actually help them improve, so instead, they settle for reinforcing the same echo chambers that got them where they are in the first place. No one forced any of these people to watch my critique. They sought it out themselves, and they got angry when it didn't.
Yeah, they're looking for someone to fucking hate. Because deep down they know their game is fucking bad. Because if they seek out like bad reviews, they know there's something wrong with the game they like. And they will defend that because, okay, you're homophobic now because you don't like the game. you're racist now because you don't like the game. Like, what kind of fucking mentality? Like, what kind of fucking thinking is that? Like, you're searching for negativity of your game that you like. Like, the logical thing is like to search, look for like positive things about your game. Like, look for the positive stuff. Like, if you're looking for the negative parts of your game, it's telling that you know there's fucking bad. There's bad like bad parts of in the game that you like. You're just fucking coping. Like, you're fucking sniffing copium. Like it. Like, my god, you're breathing it. You're injecting it in your fucking veins. Coping.
Reinforce their own opinions. Nothing in that Reddit thread disproved any point that I made. Not a single commenter, not one of them offered a counter argument explaining why Avowed's design decisions were good. Not one justified why basic interactivity had been stripped from a game in 2025 and how that was acceptable. Instead, they made a conversation about me and content creators because it's easier to attack the messenger than to face the uncomfortable truth. When criticism cannot be engaged with honestly, when people go out of their way to label or dismiss anybody who disagrees with them, all
Oh
they are
yeah.
doing is insulating.
Like, I know now why the fuck like everything is so weird. Because everything looks so clean. Everything, every asset is polished. It's too polished that there's no fucking dirt. Like, look at these bags.
When people go out of their way to
It's like they don't feel like it was naturally like it was there. It feels like someone put it there, like took all the dust off. Like, this bag, this bags look like they just fucking got put there. This chest is too clean. There's no fucking roots. There's no fucking mold. Like, 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 look at this. There's no dirt on the fucking wood. There's no like dirt on the fucking like trees. The tree root. Like, the design is just like, look at that. Like, everything is so clean. That's why I don't like it. It's so clean. There's nothing.
label
There's
or
no dirt
dismiss
on
anybody who
anything.
disagrees with them,
It's just
all they are
design
doing is
choice, and I hate
insulating
it.
developers from reality. This isn't just bad for discourse, it's
Yeah.
actively sabotaging the future of game design. If anybody, if nobody is allowed to point out what doesn't work, how are things ever supposed to get better? This kind of defensive
Yeah.
discourse sends mixed signals to the developers, and it creates an environment where studios have no idea who their audience is. Because when people just defend a game for the sake of defending it, when they attack criticism just to be a contrarian, they aren't helping a game, they're destroying it. This is exactly how we get games that are made for no one. Developers start chasing ghosts. They start building games for an imaginary audience that doesn't exist outside of social media echo chambers.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on what makes a game great, they're wasting resources trying to appease an undefined, ever-shifting set of expectations from a transient group looking for validation.
Yeah,
It's how
they're looking for validation because because it's it's also about like, look at me, look at me. They want attention. They looking for attention. Like, they want to be catered to, even though they don't want to fucking like, oh, cater for me. Okay, you cater for them, and then they don't play the game because, okay, I'm not a gamer actually, so thank you for catering for me, and then like majority of the internet, oh, like, I don't like this, and they get angry. The people that ask for that, the game, the game that they want, but don't play it, they get angry. Why don't you play the game? I like this type of games. Like, then play it. Like, if you like this type of games, if these games are actually good, then play it. Like, but in reality, they're not even playing it because they know it's bad. They tried it, it's bad. They just want to defend it and want to blame everyone for hating it because they don't. They make it political and said, "Oh, because you don't like the fucking wokeness of the game." yeah, we don't like that.
We ended up with games like Concord for Spoken, Dragon Age the Veilguard, and
Yeah.
more. Games made for Twitter discourse, not players. Games that weren't fun, but were
True.
constantly propped up by people that needed them to succeed for personal reasons. Look at the ridiculous priorities that make it into modern games today. Games designed around whether or not you can pet a dog rather than whether or not it actually plays well. This is why
Yeah.
Ubisoft thinks it's worth bragging about how many cats you can have in your village in Assassin's
Yeah,
Creed
that's
Shadows.
fucking
It's why
dumb.
developers are spending time designing pointless meme bait mechanics instead of actually refining their gameplay. Look at some of the most common demands that we've seen over the last couple of years. Does the game let me pet the dog? Why are
Oh my
female
God.
characters so sexualized? Baldur's
So
Gate
fucking
3
dumb.
would have done better if it was an action RPG. Elden
Huh?
Ring needs
Like, those people who say that are so fucking dumb.
a difficulty slider, and it has an accessibility problem. These aren't real design critiques, these are discourse points.
There's discourse. They want things to change, even though they won't fucking use the fucking changes. Because it's just, okay. It's literally like privilege. They don't have anything else to fucking complain about, so they complain about minor things that slightly inconvenience them. Like, it's not a big fucking deal. It's still popular. Like, it's a big game, and you don't need to change it. Like, if it's like Concord, they need to fucking change that shit. Like, they listen to a minority of like the fucking like internet, even though it's like not even internet, it's majority of like Twitter, but minority of like the group that you're trying to make it for. You you shouldn't be surprised that majority won't enjoy it. Like, it's simple math. If you make something to for the minorities to enjoy, like, and like only specific things that those they want to have in the game, and not cater to everyone, like majority of your fucking player base, you shouldn't be surprised that like majority of the players didn't want to play it. Because if you catered to a small part of your audience, yes, the small part of that audience will like it, but majority of your audience won't. It's simple math. They just don't understand
These are
that
demands from people that engage
because
with gaming as a
they only
conversation piece,
see
not as a
Twitter.
hobby. Developers keep prioritizing the wrong things, chasing an audience that
Yeah.
only exists on Twitter and Reddit. And then they
Yeah.
sit back and wonder why their games don't sell. Criticism is necessary. It's how this industry improves. It's how bad design gets corrected and good design evolves. But the second you start insulating a game from criticism, the second you start to punish people for legitimate complaints, you aren't protecting the game. You're ensuring that the next one is going to be even worse. You know, not too long ago, I was bringing up how people are so afraid of criticism today. So many people are afraid of any type of negative discourse
Yeah.
whatsoever that oftentimes you'll see.
Like, the hard part of it, this is so like dumbest solution is like, don't listen to Twitter because it's filled with fucking dumbasses. Like, they fucking do it, but still, like, they need to fucking do like interact with their fucking player base too. Like, even though like it's really hard to like find a way to fix this, because like Twitter will always like trample all the fucking like actual like criticisms, because they're mentally ill, and they will fucking like post, and just bury the actual criticisms with their own fucking dumbass fucking takes and posts. Like, that's the sad part. Like they're just fucking sad people that have nothing else to do, and just like do Twitter all day, and fucking like, and like developers see that, like, oh, this is majority of Twitter, even though like it's just like a barrage of fucking posts from like mentally ill people who stay on internet too much, and like the people who actually like post on I don't like this part, it will be buried under the fucking like thousands and thousands fucking like posts hating it.
Somebody over on Twitter put out their opinion, and if it gets rejected or criticized in any way, they'll go protected or they'll delete their account. That writer that everybody likes to hate, Listener Mercante, she posted talking about how anybody that was criticizing about, or some of the people that are criticizing about, aren't adding anything meaningful to the industry. I commented back simply saying that that's funny because they're actually contributing with their money, which is likely the most important contribution of all, and protected. These are the kind of opinions that are shaping games. Game developers will always lean towards their fans because they're most likely the people that will buy the game in the future or their next game or whatever it might be. But the problem is that if you're not listening to those that are criticizing your games, if you're being protected from people that are trying to criticize your games, well, then your audience is going to get smaller and smaller each passing year. If you're down to the point where you have to have your fan base out there telling people not to compare a $70 AAA full-priced game to games made over a decade ago, you're in a real bad place.
Yeah.
You're in a very, very bad place. This is why we get tone-deaf games. They are making games for their protectors. And these folks are contrarians. They see people that are out there and they see themselves as white knights and they have to defend the game that they like because, well, they can't have a wrong opinion. And the only way to not have a wrong opinion is to go after those people. Anytime they see negative comments, it sends their blood pressure up over 140. They're pulling their blinds down and checking out the window to look outside. They're mentally ill. Negative discourse can't exist. And because of that, it's painting an incomplete picture for some of these games for what a general audience actually looks like. And that's why they're not finding an audience that resonates with some of these games. And now while the players are definitely making their contribution to muddying the water and making it difficult for some of these studios to nail down who their audience is, it doesn't help that these developers are looking in all the wrong places as well.
Yeah,
I saw a tweet the other day from Michael Dowse, Larian Studios head of publishing, and it really hit the nail on the head because he was talking about how so many of these big budget games don't actually tell players what they are before launch, nor do they understand who that audience is before they launch. They rely on billboards, hype, and broad marketing campaigns, but they fail to build any real relevance or resonance before they release. It's a completely avoidable disaster, but it keeps happening because these games are assuming that they have an audience before actually trying to earn one. And that's where this industry keeps going wrong because for years now, publishers have still been relying.
They're just assuming that, their past audience will still like the game that they release even though it's bad. Like, no, we don't. Like, if it's a game is bad, like, you're not fucking Pokemon. Legitimately. Like, don't, like, suck yourself off and think you're fucking Pokemon. That your audience will fucking buy the fucking same game over and over again, okay? Like, you're not Pokemon. You cannot, no one can ever be Pokemon. Okay? So chill out.
On outdated methods to try to figure out what players want. Metrics, surveys, focus groups, and curated fan feedback that's painting a imaginary picture of what that audience actually looks like. Now, what makes matters even worse is today's modern internet culture where people don't actually say what they think. They say what they think they're supposed to say. They posture, they virtue signal, they perform for social approval, and if you're a game developer that's listening to that, well, you're going to get wildly inaccurate data on what players actually want. That's how we end up with insane takes like PC Gamer's recent article claiming that today's teens and young adults aren't interested in romance in video games. Really?
We do. Like, we just don't. We're not interested in the romance that you're making. Like, there are lots of fucking romance, like, dating sims out there that is so popular. But they're just not woke.
The same teenagers and young adults that are obsessing and shipping Genshin Impact and
yeah, like there are like even though like it's not actual dating, we're shipping characters. It's not like it's not that we don't like romance. It's just that if you make an ugly character, we don't want that. We won't want to fucking ship them with another ugly character. Like, it's simple. If you make an ugly character, we will think it's ugly because you made it ugly. Like, if you make a cute character with cute personality and cute dynamics with other cute characters and like decently looking characters, we would we will ship them. Like it's just basic fucking like knowledge that if like, you make ugly characters, you will expect that they will be treated like an ugly character. It's not even like ugly. It's just like actually uncanny, like uncanny character like Dragon's Dogma, like the like like the halfling, like that fucking furry ass fucker is fucking weird. We don't want to we don't want to fucking ship them with any other fucking character because they're weird. They're fucking like growling and fucking shit. Like they're fucking like level like a level 1,000 furry.
Kai Star Rail characters, the same ones fueling the insane success of visual novels and dating sims,
Yeah,
they don't want romance. Interesting.
yeah,
But because a survey told them otherwise, now developers are going to run with that and take it seriously and start making games under the assumption that this is what people want. This is what happens when you rely on performative data rather than
yeah.
actual engagement. If today's teens and young adults don't care about romance, explain
Like they don't do actual research. Like the research team and like develop and gaming studios are fucking fuck. They need to fucking hire better fucking research teams. Because if you don't like, I do think like the problem here is like the fucking research teams on their fucking like games. Like they need to do some lot of fucking research to like to find the right thing for their games. Because if you don't fucking find the niche that you want to make and like not not cater to that specific niche and say, oh, we'll make a game for this niche, but we'll not cater it for you. We'll cater it for people that we don't know if they will play the game.
why Baldur's Gate 3 blew up over its character
Yeah.
interactions. Explain why Love in Deep Space pulled nearly
Yeah.
$500 million in revenue.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, surveys, focus groups, and social media feedback today aren't about truth, it's about posturing. We live in a world where people unironically call a 21-year-old a former teen in a protected class, where any romance in media is scrutinized under a moral microscope,
A former
where people are
teen.
constantly worried about how their opinions will be perceived. And when that's the environment in which you're conducting surveys, you are never going to get honest answers. That's why the best way for you to be able to understand what players want isn't to ask them, it's actually just to go watch what they're playing. Look at the games that have stood the test of time. Dark Souls didn't need to pander to younger audiences to be loved by younger players. Elden Ring didn't need focus groups to figure out whether or not it was a worthwhile investment. Baldur's Gate 3 didn't need to be rewritten for modern sensibilities to be the biggest RPG in years. Marvel Rivals doesn't need to have socially safe designs to be popular. The most successful games across multiple generations are the ones that focused on simply being great games. They weren't built for a specific demographic. They weren't
surprisingly good games do good like does well. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like that's so fucking like mind-boggling. Like bitch, look at the popular games. Do not look for people like do not look at Twitter. Look at the games that are actually popular. Do not like cater to an invisible audience. Technically they are there, but they don't actually want to play it. Also, so like do not cater to them, cater to the actual like look at games that are popular and like take something from them. Not take something from people who are not in game development and just Twitter people who says okay their opinion and like what they feel about certain fucking things. Stop caring about their feelings. Start making good games that just play well and fun.
Designed to be socially approved, and that's what made them timeless. But I think the biggest mistake that these developers are making isn't just using bad data, it's that they're trying to forcefully blend audiences that don't need to be blended. Instead of committing to a clear vision,
they're trying to like please a certain audience and please both sides, but only like people that aren't playing the game are pleased. Like the actual people that you're making the game for are not pleased at the game because like okay, why is this in my game? Like the game that I wanted to play. Like if you're gonna make something, make it for one specific genre. Or like what's because like if you want to make an FPS, you won't fucking put fucking like I don't know like chess mechanics on it. Like why would you do that? Like you won't put like RPG mechanics in a fucking FPS game. You don't want to like oh to find health you need to fucking talk to a merchant. That's actually like that's deadlock. Okay, that's deadlock. So like just forget what I fucking said.
They're trying to make a game that appeals to both youth and adults at the same time, and in the process, they're making games that don't resonate with anyone. I can't be the
Yeah,
only one that's noticing how many mature rated games are suffering from an identity crisis. They want to tackle mature topics, but they refuse to actually write or present them maturely. They
they're
soften the
scared of
language,
the woke
sanitize the
crowd.
characters, and dull the edges of their stories, leaving players with something that feels completely disconnected from its own themes. The reality is, mature games, or any game for that matter, really doesn't need to be designed for a specific age group. Great games
Yeah,
are ageless. Everyone appreciates a
yeah.
great game, regardless of their age, and the moment that you start tweaking the language, tone, and the content to be able to pander to a specific demographic is the minute that you're going to lose the entire audience altogether. This is why, from my perspective, I don't think it's really worthwhile to target age demographics specifically in video.
Hot take: when your game gets flagged for being normal, that's a great game. If fucking like Twitter people get angry at your game for being just normal, you have a good game. If fucking like news sites saying the game is flopping and so like Avowed is like better than the game that you're making, you're fucking like the game is fucking good. Like that's like that's should be the ideal position of the company in this like current age of gaming. You should you should strive to be hated on like the woke Twitter. Strive to be strive try to be like compared to Avowed and like be say oh Avowed is better than your game, then you're fucking like you made it. You made it. Your game is way better than Avowed and they're fucking downplaying your fucking success. Like that should be the fucking goal for like game creators now. Just to be hated by Twitter. Because if you're hated by Twitter, it shows that your game is actually good. And they're fucking offended by the normality of the game. And the fact that you're not pandering to their fucking emotional needs and mental illness.
Games. Unless you're actually making a game specifically for children or specifically for adults, there really isn't any reason to design a game around who it should be for. Instead, you should be focusing on what makes that game engaging. Look at the games that have stood the
Yeah.
test of time: Halo, Dark Souls, Final Fantasy, The Elder
True.
Scrolls, Zelda, Super Mario. People who grew up playing these games didn't stop loving them when they turned 30. And guess what? Teens and young adults that are still playing those games today love those games for the same reason.
Yeah.
The
It's
things
very
we
good.
loved when we were younger shaped our preferences when we got older. How many people still listen to the same music that they loved in high school? How many games do we still play that defined our childhood, or games that are like them? The core of what we find cool, exciting, or engaging stays remarkably consistent throughout our entire life. That's why games don't really need to fit a tailored specific demographic. It just needs to tap into the fundamental love of excitement, challenge, and immersion. Yet for some odd reason, modern game developers, specifically in the US more than other places, don't seem to really understand this. Instead of making a great game, they're obsessing over trying to appeal to two different audiences at the exact same time. Adults because they have the money, and teenagers because they think that's the best way for them to stay relevant. And as a result, we start seeing these games that are these Frankenstein monstrosities that are trying to be everything for everyone, but end up resonating with no one. Look at Veilguard. I keep coming back to this game, but it really is the perfect onion of poor game design and audience recognition. The more you peel back, the more misguided you find it is. I mean, think about it. The characters in the game, androgynous and sterile. Yet for some odd reason, they include romance. Why would you put romance into a game that you can't actually be attracted to the characters that are in the game in the first place?
True.
The writing was over-explained, infantilized, and completely disconnected from the game's supposed mature themes. The core fan base, likely in their 30s, get treated like children. This is why so many modern games end up feeling...
Bitch, if you're 30 and you need to be treated as a fucking baby, it's a problem. You need to go see someone.
Soulless, because they aren't being designed with a strong creative vision. They aren't being designed for a real audience. They're being designed to pass through multiple layers of corporate approval, sensitivity checks, and marketing analysis, stripping away anything that makes them feel personal, passionate, or bold. Instead of creating something great and letting it find its audience, they're trying to chase some imaginary audience that doesn't actually exist. The best games don't need to be age restricted to find success. They just need to be authentic. That's why games like Elden Ring and Monster Hunter pull players from across multiple generations, because they focus on gameplay first, and that's the most important thing. They don't compromise to fit some imagined modern...
They focus on the things that that the player wanted. Like, Monster Hunter was made for hunting monsters. Like, if you made Monster Hunter a dating sim, people would fucking be pissed. Like, where are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we dating? Technically, new Monster Hunter, like, people probably want the fucking dating fucking sim of that shit. Like, but still, like, aside from that, like, yeah. The main thing is, like, if you made Monster Hunter different and not be mainly like the hunting monster like style, the game would flop. If you made like anything like Dark Souls, if you make a new Dark Souls and not focus on fucking killing bosses and just like focus on like, okay, talking to NPCs, like making it like a fucking like visual novel, people hate that shit. And make it turn based, like, bitch, that would fucking kill fucking Dark Souls. If you make, if you're gonna make a game, make it for the audience you're making it. Do not try to fucking tiptoe and fucking like pander to everyone, because that will only like, that only backfires.
sensibility. They don't try to be everything for everyone. I get that my criticism and language at times may be colorful, but that's because it's authentic. That's because I'm saying what I mean, and I mean what I say, and my opinions, I'm expressing them openly. And I'm going to get some critical feedback out of it. I'm going to get some people that are critical of me, and guess what? I listen to that stuff because that's how you get better. You need that to be able to improve. But when you have audiences that are out there that are trying to shield games from criticism, shield these developers from the people that don't like their games, well, they're doing far more harm than they actually know. And also, it's just rat behavior, and it deserves to be called out. It's disgusting. You know, these companies have to adjust and adapt. Their methods are outdated. The internet is often inauthentic.
Yeah.
And because of that, you have misled creatives that are
so
using
right
performative developers to make performative games for performative audiences. A whole lot of pretending, a whole lot of bad data, and a whole lot of games without any audience. You need observable data. This industry is evolving to the point where it's becoming much more scientific. You need to actually observe your subject, see what they want, see what they're doing, and then iterate on that.
Like that, like, it's always been scientific. Like, you need research to like even like marketing is technically scientific. You need research, data, like everything needs data. Like, if you're going on a business business venture, and don't use data, and just like, put things out and you're surprised that it didn't fucking sold because like okay, because you didn't research anything about the market, that's your fault. Like if you didn't research anything about like the gaming market, it's your fault. It's like it's been always been scientific. It's just that they take like they are like downgrading. Like they are not like using data anymore. They're now just pandering than actually like looking for actual data. Like it's not that it's more scientific. It's just that it's less scientific now because like back then they probably would search data. So, oh, they like this, they like this, they like this. Okay, we'll make this again, again, and again. And now they're just pandering to people on Twitter. It's like Pokemon is doing the same thing. Okay, they complain, but they just play our game. So let's just play. Let's just release the same games but different story in different maps. Just not not updated graphics, just the same things. Then people still play it because like their data shows that they people will still play it. Like if Pokemon drops in sales in their new fucking game, they will 100% change. They 100% change because the data is like saying, oh, they don't like this game type anymore, and they will probably listen to the players and they ask. But like currently, like people will still play Pokemon because like okay, it's fucking Pokemon. It's fucking dumb. They need to fucking change fucking Pokemon.
You know, I've talked about this before, but I was in on Baldur's Gate 3's early access. Incredible journey. Developer notes were really detailed. The feedback that we would get, the panels from
Yeah,
hell, the updates that they would do. The entire time, while they were collecting data, they were doing
yeah,
polls and stuff like that as well. But for the most part, they just sat back and watched how people interacted with the game.
yeah. Like that's how like games were made back then. Like there were like test plays, probably not like demos like now. Like they probably like do test plays back then. Okay, play this. Okay, everything's smooth. Release it. Like that's probably how it went back then. It's just like I do think the demo thing is ruining the fucking game, ruining gaming industry. Like, oh, let's release a demo so let's players do this and do this. Like, I do think that's slightly ruining things, because it's like it incentivizes companies to just like release a demo and like ask for like the feedback, and if the feedback is like okay, if the feedback isn't good, it's good, but the game they just like pandering to the company, the the game will be bad. Like back then, they probably like did much more intense like demo or like game reviewing on their games because they don't want to release a bad game back then. But now they can just release bad games and then release another game and like I hope it hits.
Game. What did people try to do the most? What did they, what spells did they use? What classes did they pick? What choices did they make? They took that data and then iterated on it, and they just acted as a tailor, fitting it like a glove to the player. And that's how you get great games. That's what you have to
Yeah.
do nowadays. You can't come up with some pre-designed audience anymore. That doesn't work. You can't go and read social media. You can't watch, you can't listen to like things that are said on Twitter or on
Yeah,
Reddit, because
true.
oftentimes people aren't really saying
Go back to the old times and actually hire people to fucking like demo your game. Because if you hire someone, they will probably tell you the truth and pay them to do things that actually make the game better. Like if you hire someone to review the game and pay them decently or review the game, please like play like a set amount of people to review the game. Yes, or like give them like rewards and like things and like review the games honestly with like rewards or like payment. They would probably like actually review the game and tell you what the fucking like problem the game is. If you just like pander to fucking Twitter, yes, you're gonna fucking flop.
What they mean, they're just saying whatever they can to get the most people to agree with them because they need that interaction. They need to be accepted, baby. Right here. Get that validation right into my veins. But that's what you have to do. You have to ignore that kind of stuff. You have to be dynamic. And I think a lot of these companies are still stuck in their ways. And because of that, it's leading to a lot of these games failing to find an audience. You know, I love topics like this. You guys got to keep in mind, I am a marketing major that got into construction. I have a degree that I never got to use. It's the whole reason I made a YouTube channel to begin with, was because I wanted to understand what players' needs were. I wanted to understand how these games were finding an audience or how they were failing to find an audience. And I wanted to be somebody that could advocate for games to be able to reach audiences better. I think that once I get a little bit more comfortable with YouTube and I feel a little bit more stable on the platform, I'll probably start to try to get into at least consulting with marketing and, you know, customer outreach and stuff like that.
That'd be
because
insane.
I think that personally, I think I could do a lot of help. I don't
Yeah.
know. There's probably plenty of people that are out there.
You actually have a
Reddit,
marketing
apparently,
major,
that
so you
wouldn't want me
should
to
fucking do
anything
that.
of the sort.
Use your
So,
fucking degree in
I don't know.
marketing.
We'll see. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Because
If you
people
guys did,
who have no fucking
like the video, share
anything
it with your friends. Follow me on Twitch.
do with marketing
Follow
are
me on
fucking
Twitter.
doing
People have been enjoying me over
that,
there.
and
If you
they
didn't like
need
the
to fucking
video,
like
well, I guess
fuck
I'll see another
off.
post on Reddit. Outside of that, my friends, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe.
Yes.
I'll see you in the next one.
Yes, bye bye.
Family, 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 family.